Alright. This is my surfboard quiver for 2024. Currently.
It's calling me. Oh, like the rainbow. Like the rainbow. It's calling me. Oh, like the rainbow. The rainbow.
A quiver is essentially a set of boards that you have picked out and sort of designed to surf in all conditions to give you all feelings. So it could be a big board and a small board, so you can ride the big board in small waves, the small board in big waves. It could be all feelings. It could be a long board because you like the feel of a long board, and a short board because you like the snappiness of a short board. It could be for your progression. So those are the pros of having a surfboard quiver. The cons is basically it costs a lot of money. Surfboards do cost quite a bit of money. I buy all my surfboards second hand, but it's still pretty expensive, and it's definitely a privilege. But yeah, so that's what a surfboard quiver is. That's the pros and cons essentially. I think you can fast track your progression by getting a quiver that matches where you're at with your surfing and where the waves are at that you're surfing essentially. So yeah, so my surfboard history, so I learnt on an 8-foot mini male, and I was on that from like the age of 13 to like 18, and then I got a 7-foot mini male, and I was on that from like basically until the start of last year, so 18 to 23 or 4. I would have fun when I went surfing, but I wasn't really into surfing, like I wasn't trying to progress. I didn't go surfing that often. I went surfing probably 4 or 5 times a year through that period of time, and then at the start of last year I started getting into shortboards, and then I started getting into twins, and then I started getting into mid-lengths. And that brings us on to the first board that I'm going to talk about in my quiver, because I've ridden this board the most. This is the Album Townsend. Absolutely love this thing. So this is a 6/8 Album Townsend that I have ridden quite a lot. And I've done a review on it already, and if you want to check that out, it will go into detail about all the design features and why I love it so much. But this was originally purchased as like a small low wave performance-y board, and it's turned into my good wave board essentially. It's a 6/8, it's got 40 litres, so loads of paddle. So if the waves get really big and scary and I want to get in early, this is the board for me. But it's also an ASIM twin. So for a 6/8, it is extremely nimble and doesn't feel like a mid-length, to be honest. It feels like a short board. kind of a step up mid-length. It's designed that way, so the tail is quite pulled in, and what that means is in smaller waves or in fatter waves, it doesn't feel... it's hard to generate speed. And I can kind of combat that by changing the fins. So I actually had a session the other night on this board, and I ran my larger fins. So this is a Neat Essentials Torren Martin upright on the toe side, Asher Pacey upright pivot on the heel side, the larges. And if the waves are better, then I run the medium Asher Pacey set. I run this one on the toe side because I lost the Asher Pacey large, but basically if you've got a couple different fin sets, you can actually get more out of a surfboard. You can put the large fins in when it's small and you can get more drive, and you can put the small fins in when it's big and you get more control. So the next board I'm going to talk about is the next board that I've ridden the most, and that is this one, the Album Twinsman, which I got mid last year-ish. I can't remember. Absolutely love this board. I've done a review on it as well. You can go watch that. It's basically like a user-friendly shortboard. It's got some down rails, so you've got tons of foam. Got the beak nose. It's the pintail, as you can see. There's a nice pin. A high volume, user-friendly, good wave shortboard. If you want to sum it up as succinctly as possible, that's what it is. And it's pretty sick. 6.0, 35 litres. I've actually ridden this in small waves, and it actually goes with bigger fins in small waves. So you could definitely, if you wanted to, have a two-board quiver, and if I wanted to just have a two-board quiver, I could definitely just ride the Townsend in this, to be honest. The only thing is, in smaller waves, I'd struggle, because both of them have quite pulled-in tails, and they're quite narrow outlines. That brings me on to the next board. This is the one that I've been riding the most lately. The Firewire Sunday by Rob Machado in a helium construction. I think you should just go to a shop and pick one up, because the helium construction is freaky. It's freaky how light it is. Anyway, so this is a 7.0, sort of eggy, mid-length-ish. Cool feature is the V. So you can see that V in the tail, and it goes all the way up to pretty much the middle of the board. And what this does is it kind of makes the whole thing more tippy. It feels way more nimble than any other 7-foot board I've ever ridden. I would say it's very nimble for how wide it is and how long it is. It feels very nimble. I've also done a review on this surfboard, and you can go watch that. But basically, this is my small wave mid-length. It's got 53 litres of volume. For a 7.0, that's a lot. Like 7.0 by 21.5 by 3 1/8. So she's thick. Doesn't carry that thickness out to the rails, so you still get nice rails. But yeah, she's thick and she's floaty, and she gets me into pretty much the smallest waves that I enjoy riding. So this thing doesn't get you into like tiny little longboarder waves, but it definitely gets you into the smallest waves that I enjoy riding, which is kind of like probably thigh high, essentially. I've been running it mostly as a twin, but I've actually enjoyed it as a a single with side bites quite a bit. And I just recently, yesterday actually, tried it as an asymmetrical twin, so that was really cool. So I'm still experimenting with this board. This is the board that I've been riding the most recently because I've just been coming back from a wrist injury. So basically this year, this is the board that I've ridden the most, and it's just super easy. Can ride very small waves on it and still have loads of fun. So yeah, that's why I have this board. And now we can play a fun game, because if you had this board and you had this board, the Townsend, that would be a Quiver. That would be like your small wave mid-length and your good wave mid-length. Or if you had this board and this board, that would also be a good Quiver, because you got your small wave mid-length and your good wave short board. I think for most intermediates, you definitely don't need more than 2 boards. Like something for small waves, bad waves, something for good waves. You definitely don't need more than 2 boards, in my opinion. As an intermediate surfer, that's my opinion. So the drawback with this board, if there's any drawbacks, the drawback would be it is a 7.0, so, and it's 53 litres. So the pro is almost the same as the drawback. Like it doesn't feel easy to throw around as the shortboard does, and it would feel scary surfing critical waves on this board because it's kind of big. Taking this board out in really big surf, I think would be quite scary, because I would just get ragdolled around, essentially, because of the volume. The volume would just pull me around. So that covers my small waves, my big waves, me trying to be a performance-y surfer. The last one that I have, again, I've got way too many boards. You definitely don't need this many boards, but I have a fish. I love how people look when they surf fish. I love how fishes look. Seaside by Rob Machado. So super light, super flat, and what I'm hoping is this will do me in sort of, well, I'm hoping it'll do stomach to head high waves really well, and it'll feel super fun to ride in those kinds of conditions. The drawbacks, terrible for paddling. Can't paddle it very well at all because it's got no volume in it, and it's quite hard to pop up on because it's a shortboard. Shortboards I find harder to pop up on than longboards. So I haven't really ridden it yet because of my wrist injury, but I'm hoping to start riding it soon. The pros, it's a 5'5", so it just feels like a skateboard. Supposedly, when you're up and riding, it just feels like, it feels really cool to ride a shorter board. Even if you're not doing maneuvers, if you're just doing little turns, if you're on a really short board, I've noticed it feels really cool. That's essentially why I got this board. I got this board for feelings. I didn't get this board for any reason. Like, I didn't get this board to ride small waves. I didn't get this board to ride big waves. I just got this board for feelings. So you definitely don't need a fish in your quiver unless you're just trying to surf shortboards. If you're just trying to surf shortboards, a fish is better in small waves than a shortboard. So you would want a shortboard and a fish if you were just trying to ride shortboards. But if you're not just trying to ride shortboards, you definitely don't need a fish. So that's my quiver, and this is what I'm excited for. That's the thing, like, you can ride all boards in all conditions, but you're gonna have a much higher wave count in small conditions with a bigger board. And if you're trying to progress, you need a high wave count. That's number one. Number two, if the board's too big, you aren't gonna be able to do maneuvers on it that you can do on a shorter board. Like, you're not going to be able to learn how to do snaps on a longboard. I used to think that you couldn't do anything on a longboard, but I had an 8-foot ML glider last year, and I was doing like roundhouse cutbacks and floaters on that thing. So you definitely, depending on the board, you definitely can do a lot on a longer board. On a mid-length, I feel like you can do pretty much anything. So you can ride all boards in all conditions, but certain boards are going to give you more in certain conditions, I would say. So it's super beneficial to at least have like a planned out thought. Alright, if it's small, I got my 8-foot mini mal. If it's not small, I got my 6'8" mid-length that's sort of designed for better waves, like a CI mid, or if you're a shortboard guy, you've got your 5'8" fish, and you've got your 6-foot shortboard for crappy waves and good waves. That's what a surfboard quiver is. Those are the pros and cons of a surfboard quiver, and that's my surfboard quiver at the moment. So you can look forward to a review on this thing. Subscribe if you want to watch more videos of me trying to get better at surfing, and more surfboard reviews from a surfboard nerd who's not that good at surfing.